Hello and welcome to The Shout. My name's Mark Carlaw, and for those that don't know me, let's be honest, it's pretty much everybody watching this. I'm the editor for the West Ham Way. I've been working with the boys now, Dave and X, for about a year, writing bits and pieces on their website, and I've been involved in doing a few exclusives with X and things like that. So basically, it's a new show that we've been putting out. We were planning on doing it for next season, but we thought we'd bring it on a little bit earlier. And to be honest with you, it's a funny one because we've got Liv Elliot today that's our guest, and she's also going to be doing a show soon for the West Ham Way, and she's going to be joining us shortly. But before that, it's really strange because I was kind of expecting to be talking about a few little odds and sods today, things like the player awards and whatnot. But we've actually had a bit of breaking news and big things happening today regarding Declan Rice. So it's kind of a big show, as it was, the more than I expected. But so what we're going to do is today we're going to talk about, obviously, the situations regarding Declan Rice, and that's basically that he's been offered apparently a big long-term contract by West Ham, which seems a little bit ridiculous, to be honest, when you look at the details of it. Also, we've got to talk about the player awards, Rice again, Bowen, and a couple of others. We're also going to be talking about the top six this season, which, is quite exciting. We've got two big games to come up. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get going. What we'll do is wait for Liv to come and join us, which will be soon. But before we do, I'm just sort of going to touch on the Declan Rice thing again, because for me, it's always been about ambition with Rice. When I've been talking, when we've been writing about the Declan situation, when we've been talking about with X and things like that, it's been very clear, and I think it's clear from the Rice camp, that Declan Rice is not interested in money. He never has been. It's never really been a money-driven thing for him. So the fact that apparently the club have offered him an 8-year contract today, and this is coming from TalkSport, which, let's be honest, is the mouthpiece for David Sullivan. So that indicates to me that there is some truth to this. I'm not sure exactly if that's correct at the moment. I've got to bear in mind this is quite early on, and this is going to probably come out on the Friday. So by the time this comes out, things might have changed. We might know a little bit more. But when you talk about Declan Rice as a person, I'm sorry, I just don't see how a long-term contract for 200 grand a week is going to entice him to stay at West Ham. It's been pretty obvious from the start, really, with Declan, that he's an ambitious player, so I'm flabbergasted that their answer to this in terms of that he wants ambition to be shown by the club, a club that, he wants a club. Let's be honest, Declan Rice's ambition is to win the league, is to win the Champions League. That's what he wants to be going and doing in his career. And the fact he's a world-class player, you can't really blame him. So for me, the mission for the club really is to go out and show Rice that this is the club that he needs to be at and stay at. So I'm a bit confused by this. What's concerning me now, though, is, and we have sort of touched upon this, and when I say I've touched upon this, Dave and X actually touched upon this on the podcast, is I hope now that it's materialising that Rice could be leaving, or he might be looking around and not really keen to sign a new deal, is that West Ham are going to start playing games, i.e., what we're seeing now, offering him another really big contract, offering him a load of money, knowing really that he's probably going to reject it. And then on the back of that, it's going to then be one, we tried. Oh, look we did. And it's also going to, is it going to make Rice the villain? Is this the way this is going? I'm not sure. So I'll be interested to see what Liv thinks about this. But yeah, it's a strange one. It's a real strange one. It's something that I'm personally a bit confused about. I really would, prefer the club to be showing more ambition in the market. I think that's what we all want to see as well. We're on a trajectory at the moment, West Ham. There's no two ways about it. We've had a fantastic couple of seasons. Okay, we didn't win the Europa, but to get to the Final Four is amazing. But I will say that I'm gutted that this is the way they're going around the Rice situation. Let's just say he could sign it, but for me, I just can't ever see that happening. Not at the moment. Rice, I think, for me, has made it very clear he wants to see ambition at the club. He wants to see the club match his ambitions to be a top side. So it's a strange one. It'd be really, really interesting to see how this all plays out in the sort of weeks to come. But let's be honest, the way this is shaping up is we're going to have a summer where it's just going to be pure speculation non-stop about Rice's future, which is something we all don't want. So it's a little bit frustrating. But anyway, it's one of those things. Let's see how the story develops as time goes on. But I'll certainly be interested to take Liv's take on it, and also other fans as well. Obviously, I'll be opening this up to the forum as well to other fans to get involved in. A little bit about the show itself, the shout. We want to do something a little bit different from this. Although today is going to be predominantly West Ham based. Obviously, we are the West Ham way, so we want to talk about West Ham predominantly. But also, we wanted a show that was a little bit different, something that sort of gives the fans something a little bit different to talk about. We feel like there's a little bit of a gap there from what we talk about. We don't want to be repeating the same stories over and over again from each show to show. So this is also about football in general. I want to talk today a little bit about the relegation battle. We've got our former player, Frank Lampard, well involved in that with Everton. We've got Leeds that are being sucked right into it now and probably actually looking the more at risk of going down at this stage with the way the results have panned out. But it's going to be an interesting one. And to be honest with you, being a West Ham fan, it's just delightful that we're not in that position. But here we are. We are where we are. We're in a decent place again, which is remarkable. I just can't believe that we've had another great season and a season where we're once again possibly looking at Europe. I mean, I can't believe it. It's like a dream. But Liv is now waiting, and I'll introduce her, and we'll start talking about some of the things, as we say, about Declan Rice being the main one. But bear me 2 seconds to see if she joins us.
Hey,
you all right? How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You're right.
Yeah, not bad, not too bad. How you been keeping?
Good. All well and good. Bit sad still, but
you're a bit sad. What from the Europa?
Yeah, but
well, you were out there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was out in Frankfurt. Yeah.
How was it? First of all, how was Frankfurt? I mean, don't worry, not about the game. How was the city? Because I've heard some stories.
I mean, Frankfurt itself, I didn't encounter any hooligans or whatever. The people there are actually really nice. The city itself, I would say, it's just a little bit run down. But then that you find that everywhere, don't you, in places, especially in England as well. But other than that, it was such a great atmosphere. The square was so much fun. And I mean, I didn't actually go to the game. I didn't have a ticket, but I would just sat in a pub and watched it. And I think it was just being out there and just soaking in all the atmosphere. That was just awesome just to be there. And I'm so lucky that I got to.
I mean, I did the same thing as you when I went to Lyon. It was very similar. I didn't have a ticket, but I just loved it. It was an amazing experience. And it's just a shame we couldn't do it. It just felt with that tie, though, overall, it never really went our way, did it? And from the first leg right to the end, it just never, I mean, to be conceding in the first, it was 30 seconds, it just seemed that really seemed to kill us in that tie. I know it sounds a bit ridiculous because we did equalise, but it just felt like, the fact that we hit the post 3 times, the Bowen chance at the end of that first leg, the luck wasn't on our side. It never felt that way. And then obviously with the second leg with Creswell as well getting sent off, it just wasn't to be, was it?
Yeah, it clearly wasn't meant to be. And I when I was out in Frankfurt, I was obviously sad, but I wasn't proper gutted. It didn't hit me then. And I think it was because after the first leg, that really annoyed me, because I was like, why are we conceding so quickly into the game? We must have been half asleep watching it back. And it's kind of come on, boys, this is our once in a lifetime sort of thing, even though it could potentially happen.
The last thing you want to do, isn't it, is concede. You know what I mean? Especially early on, and it just knocked the fan base, because before the game, it was like a carnival atmosphere. It just felt like, I just remember going into the game thinking there's going to be no other outcome than we're going to win this game. That we can't go into this with this kind of atmosphere and lose. And I think that goal just sucked the life out of everybody. And the atmosphere never quite recovered, even though we did equalise. It was just that feeling that, because Frankfurt was so slick on the counter, and they just played they played it really well in the first leg, I felt. But although we were a little bit unlucky, I think the chances missed. But gutted. But you're still suffering from the hangover from it, are you?
Yeah, I'm still I don't really want to talk about it. And I don't want to see my friends, and I just rub it in my face. So I'm kind of isolating at the moment from everyone.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I do know what you mean. It hasn't. I mean, I've been quite down about it, but then I suppose the only other flip side of the coin is that I just keep thinking about where we are this season. And I think if we were sitting mid-table now, I'd be really gutted, because I'd be thinking, well, that's Europe gone. But I do get a good feeling that we're going to be back in it again next season, whether it be via Europa or the conference. And to be honest, I'll take either. I mean, obviously I prefer Europa, but I mean, conference I wouldn't turn my nose at. But it just maybe that's a good thing. I mean, maybe we need to stand back from it and say, well, look, Yeah, we lost. We're out. We lost the semi-final, but I think that happens to all big clubs. You've got to take a bit of a bad defeat, a bit of heartbreak, come back stronger. And I generally think it will help us in the long run. Some of the players now will learn from that and think, right, we do things a bit differently. Don't keep playing into their hands. I mean, the sending offs from Creswell were just, really poor overall, I think, and just a bit naive.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well, when you look at the table, you've got to think like, cool, if we weren't in Europa, where would we actually be in the table? Like, I think we'd be we'd be challenging for that top four. I think we'd actually even be in it if it wasn't for Europa.
Absolutely.
You've got to think every time we played on a Thursday, we more or less lost the game on the Sunday.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
You're right. I mean, if you look at this season, we're stronger than I think than we were last season. Okay, we've got less points, but you're right. We've had to contend with Europa. So if you think where we would have been, I think last season we were only 2 points off top four. So you kind of think we really could have been there or thereabouts. I just think this is a crucial summer now. You know what I mean? It's like let's get Europe, let's get that secured, which hopefully will be pretty much, by the weekend that'll relatively be secured. But it's just wait and see. But yeah, I do agree with you. You do kind of wonder where we would be if we hadn't had that Europa League this season.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we've just got to look at it and go, God, we're actually a good side now. Like, we're actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I do like the fact, and I sometimes pinch myself because I was thinking the other day I'd be really disappointed if we finished 7th, and I'm thinking this is West Ham, and I'm talking about being disappointed with finishing 7th. It's like this is a team that if we finished 17th, we were like, oh, that weren't too bad. We got away with that one. You know what I mean? It's like,
could you imagine? Yeah,
it's amazing. So we've got to talk about Declan Rice, and we have to talk about it. I mean, it's come out today. So this recording is going to come out Friday. So the situation may have moved on slightly when this goes out. But at the moment, as it stands, TalkSport have released a statement saying that, or broken news saying that Declan Rice has been offered an 8-year contract, 200 grand a week. It's going to rise with inflation. And apparently we've also offered him when I was listening to Jim White saying that we might even say, well, they can make it 10 years if they want. What's your take on it?
I think they're crazy. I think if you're looking at it from Bryce's point of view, he's not there. He's come out and he said to everyone that he's not there for the money. He loves the game of football and he just wants to win trophies. And to offer him an 8-year contract, knowing West Ham will do really well for a few seasons, then we might go back to the bottom. I can't understand the knowledge behind it. Yes, we want to keep him, but if you want to keep him, you've got to build a squad around him. You can't just give him all the money and say, right, okay, we're locking you down for 8 years. Hold on a second. I want to win trophies. You need to bring in A, B, and C so I can win them trophies, not only for myself, but for the club and the fans.
Absolutely. I'm totally in agreement. I mean, it's clear that Declan has got ambitions to win things. I mean, it's clear. I don't think money's not a driver for him. I mean, he's been turning down contract offers for quite some time at the club. From what I understand here, and I'm not an ITK, obviously X is the man that knows all the stuff that's going on really. But from what I understand from conversations is that basically the reason he's been turning down these contracts, he doesn't want to go into a situation like Harry Kane at Tottenham. He looks at that situation where Kane signed a big long-term deal with the promise of, they were going to be challenging. And, because let's be honest, they probably were at some stage when he signed it, looking like a team that could challenge for title at some stage. But obviously now they've kind of deteriorated as the seasons have gone on. Okay, they're not having a bad season this one, but they have been pretty average and not that great. And all of a sudden, he's found himself with 5 years on a deal, and Tottenham are going, "Well, no, we're not selling you. We're not selling you." Or what we'll do is we'll put a stupid price tag on your head, so no one's going to pay that. And look what happened in the summer. Man City just simply wouldn't pay it. And I think Rice looks at that and just thinks, "Well, why would I sign a 5-year deal with West Ham?" And as you say, what happens if next season we deteriorate? Moyes, they let go of Moyes or something, whatever happens, and then suddenly we find ourselves mid-table to bottom half, and then he's on a 5-year deal, start West Ham. They're going, well, no, we want 200 million for you, or you stay. I think that's what where his mind's at. So the fact that they're offering him an 8-year deal just makes me think that this is either starting to look like they know something that we don't, i.e., or they promised Declan something that we don't know about, or, which is what worries me more, is that I think they might be starting to play some games here. I.e., we tried, and maybe trying to put maybe push Declan into the kind of villain role a little bit, saying, well, look, he doesn't want to stay and he wants to leave. And because it's kind of getting to a stage where Declan's got to say something, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's kind of like something, like you said, it's either something we don't know and someone's keeping their cards really close to their chest and they're playing this stupid game, or they're just trying to dig Declan out and make us turn against him. So when he does leave, we'll be like, hang on a second, we offered you a contract. We offered you actually all the money in the world for you to stay. You didn't, and you turned away. So I think that they're maybe trying to turn us against Declan. I obviously don't
Absolutely.
want.
And the fact it's come from TalkSport, as we know, Jim White's notoriously linked with Sullivan. So if the news that he ever seems to reveal about West Ham, I think, comes direct from David Sullivan. And he actually said the words today, Jim White, said that Declan believes he could earn 300 or 400 grand a week elsewhere. Now, I don't know Declan personally, most of us don't, but that isn't him. Like, Declan isn't a person that will come into West Ham and go, oh, I could earn double that. He's not a money man. He's always made it very clear he wants to win things. So it is starting to sound like there's some manoeuvring here. Like, there's a bit of politics being played. They know Declan's going to go, or they know Declan wants to go. And as you say, they're trying to play the game of making him the villain here. And then, as you say, then they turn the fans on him. And if that is the case, and that's really, really sad. I really hope it isn't. And I really hope, I'd love Declan to sign. But, let's be honest, he's not going to sign an 8-year deal. I'd be stunned if he signed a 3-year deal at the moment, really.
I'd find it crazy if anyone signed an 8-year deal for a club. Like, you don't get Man City banging that out with Haaland, do you? Oh, here's an 8-year contract. Come with us.
If they offered it to De Bruyne, he wouldn't sign it. He wouldn't sign a contract.
No, and they're guaranteed to win trophies.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a really strange one. I'd like to know more about it. At this stage, it's still a little bit vague, isn't it? Whether they've just spun this 8-year and really it's actually a 5-year plus 3-year option or something. Maybe it's something like that and they're just picking this 8-year out. I don't know. But yeah, it's a really strange one. It's going to be strange how it all develops, but it's very,
I agree.
It's really interesting. The player awards is, Declan No one Hammer of the Year. What was your thoughts on that?
He had to. He's been our rock, hasn't he, in midfield. He's played pretty much every single game. And yeah, I think the only contender for it as well was Dawson. I saw everyone on Twitter going absolutely Dawson, crazy.
I've seen your tweets. You love
I do love the man. I love the man, but not as much as David Moyes. I love David Moyes more. David Moyes more, of course I do. But yeah, he's so well deserved. Yeah, and I think as well that was maybe like a little tactic from us West Ham fans, just trying to keep him.
Yeah,
keep him into the wall.
For me, actually, I thought Bowen was a close second for me. I just think Bowen's improved so much this season, and he's actually becoming like a real, proper goal scorer. And if he carries on this development, where he'll be in a couple of years, you kind of think he's going to be scoring sort of 20, 25 goals a season. He's that kind of person now, and I actually thought he was really close to winning it. But yeah, Dawson as well was amazing, but I think Rice, he's so good, Rice, isn't he? It's remarkable how good he is.
Do you know what? I always have this debate with people, and people are like, oh, Rice, whatever, he's not that great. And I'm like, but when you go and watch West Ham every single week in, week out, when you're illegally streaming it or whatever, and you just sit there and you're like, Jesus, he is unbelievable. I have never in my lifetime seen a player like him, just being able to attack, defend, absolutely everything, and he knows it all as well. He's very good on the pitch, and I respect him so much.
I agree. And do you know what, with Declan as well, it's what I think people don't realise is how consistently good he is. It's not a case of that he just puts in a great performance, scores a great goal, and then you go, oh, is he amazing? And then he goes a bit quiet. He's an 8 or 9 out of 10 every match. He's pretty much man of the match for us every game. And this is and not only that, he does it for England as well. He goes and plays for England, and he's the best player on the pitch. He's pretty much our best player at the World Cup. At the Euros. And you kind of think, and you just think and this is at 23. It's remarkable. It's quite frightening how good he's going to get.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I always think, oh, do you know what? I actually want you to go abroad, go to another country, go and do well somewhere else. Don't go to a different club over here. Go abroad and absolutely smash it. But he's just, even when we lose, it's kind of like, we had a bad game. But Declan Rice, oh my God, he's phenomenal.
Oh, he's amazing.
You can't generally sit there and criticize him. I have no words when we lose, and I'm kind of like, oh, everyone was all right, like, yeah, whatever. But
I'm going to say
Rice,
something quite controversial here, though, right? So if
hold
we
on.
accept, let's just say we accept that Rice is going to leave this summer, right? And there's nothing else we can do about it. It is going to happen. If we were to go to Chelsea and say, right, we know you want Rice, we know that he's obviously we know he's a Chelsea fan from growing up, so I'm sure he wouldn't mind going back there to play. If we said to them, you can have Rice, but on the basis that we get Conor Gallagher.
Oh yeah.
So if we said to Chelsea, we would want Conor Gallagher, Brozier, and say 30 million quid, and you get Rice, would you think that's a good deal for West Ham?
I think maybe give us Lukaku as well, maybe.
So he's not scoring against us.
Yeah, basically. No, I think. Yeah, I don't think that's too bad. I reckon maybe like Loftus-Cheek as well. Chuck him in there.
Basically, we're having a whole Chelsea squad.
Yeah, basically, you can have him, but we'll take your whole squad. You can keep Mount as well. Yeah. We'll treat you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, right. I would probably take that. I think you've got to look at it and think, right, okay, realistically, the money we're going to get for Rice, how are we going to replace him? I'd love to see Phillips if Leeds get relegated, because I'm sure he wouldn't want to play championship football. But yeah, I think you just got to look at it and think, right, okay, there's players who aren't as good as Rice, of course, but there's players who aren't far behind him either. So with the money that we get,
absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past that.
And also, I remember we've had it over the years, haven't we? Where we've lost really key players, and I remember thinking we're never going to recover from it. I remember losing Rio, Joe Cole, obviously Payet recently. All right, it was very difficult to replace, but we tend to have gone on stronger in the end. You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong, I'm not resigned to losing Rice. I'd much rather him stay. But if it is going down that path that he is going to go, I think we could use it to our advantage. There are good players out there, like you say. I mean, like Conor Gallagher's probably worth about 50 million now. He's been exceptional for Palace. Brozier's someone we're very keen to have. I think their ratings around that kind of 40, 50 million pound mark. I mean, you're talking about 100 million pound players there. And if you could get that, and as you say, Loftus-Cheek or some money in, we could come back stronger. I mean, I remember when we sold Julian Dix years ago, when we sold to Liverpool, and we replaced him with, it was a swap deal. So Dix went to Liverpool, and we got David Burrows and Mike Marsh. And Dix, don't forget, was probably the best left back in the country then, and our best player by a mile. But we were actually better for it. You know what I mean? We were actually, because we improved the whole squad. We had a decent midfielder and a good left back. Suddenly, we were actually a better side. So I don't know. I think there is that argument that it wouldn't be the end of the world. If there are other options out there. It wouldn't be like West Ham would suddenly collapse. I mean, obviously, I'm clutching at straws there. I don't want it to go, but
Yeah, I think we're all dreading the day that the news comes out that Rice wants to leave, or someone's come in for Rice and it's been accepted or whatever. But you've just got to look at it and think, we've lost so many good players, like, and look at us, like, we're great. And I reckon, not all of the time, but sometimes when we do play without Rice, we're actually still not that bad.
I agree. I agree. I actually think we're a really good side. I think the only drawback would be that if we did sell him, if we had no choice, that we'd have to spend the money wisely. We'd have to respond and show that we're really ambitious still. I wouldn't want to sell him and then suddenly, because we have done it over the years. I remember when we sold Rio, we never really spent the money very wisely. It never really went anywhere. And then all of a sudden it was like we had one of the world's, best defenders, and suddenly we just look awful. So I think that would be the key for me. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I'm this isn't inside knowledge, but I'm pretty confident we won't sell him this summer. I think we've got one more season in Rice. That's my gut feeling.
I hope you're right. I literally was saying throughout the whole Europa League, if we win Europa League, that's fine. We're guaranteed to have another season with Rice. And I think because we're out of it now, it's kind of like, I don't really want to think about it. But I do really hope that we can keep him for another season, especially if we do get Europa League for next season. That would just be the icing on the cake, really.
That brings me to my next point then. So top six. I mean, it looked like we were out of it. I think we were all accepting the fact that seventh was going to be our best position, but with the results Man United have produced, it's sort of like it's opened the door now. All of a sudden, we're now like there's a chance we're going to get sixth, because my gut feeling is Manchester United will lose to Palace on the final day. The way they're playing, the way Palace are playing, being at Selhurst Park. Do you think we can get sixth?
I think the only thing that's stopping us, I would say, is City on Sunday. I'm quite worried about that one. I mean, City are just absolutely like outrageous. Like they're just so good, and obviously they've got Liverpool chasing them. So it's literally all to play for. But then I've got this crazy feeling. I'm like, but then we did kind of beat them in the cup, even though it was on penalties. Yes. We still like we played well that night.
Yeah, we did.
So I think we're in for a real treat on Sunday. But do I think we'll get sixth? Do you know what? I'll back the team. Yeah, of course. You got to back them.
I think you're right. I think we're going to do it. I don't think we're going to beat City. That's my gut feeling. I'd be really surprised if we beat them. I think there's a chance we're going to get a draw, but I think we're going to go and beat Brighton. I think it's time now we beat Brighton and put this hoodoo to bed. Don't get me wrong, Brighton are a very good side. I'm not disrespecting them. They've done really well this season. I think that Graham Potter's done a great job. But I think if we go there knowing that if we can beat Brighton, we finish sixth, I think we're going to go and win. I genuinely think now we'll put that to bed now and go, right, we'll give everything the final day to go and win. Because realistically, Brighton haven't really got much to play for. I mean, okay, they want to finish as high as they can, and there'll be some bragging rights over a couple of positions. But really, are they going to be that gunning for it? I mean, I think we will be. If I had to put a bet on it, I reckon we're going to draw with City, and I think it'll be something like 1-1. And I think we'll win at Brighton, maybe 1-0. That's my gut feeling. And
I really hope you're right. But I agree. With Brighton, they do my head in when we play them. It's just so draining to watch because we play so well. Then all of a sudden they just randomly get a goal in the 90th minute, and I sit there and I'm like, what is going on? Like,
I don't know what it is with them.
How can we?
I don't know what it is for that side. I don't know why we can't beat them. I don't know what they've been up being for. Is it 4 years? I think in the Premier League, something like that. Maybe 3 or 4 years, and we haven't beaten once since they've been in the Premier League. Like not once. It's ridiculous.
It's just so stupid. Like I laugh about it because I'm like, it's Brighton. You'd expect it to be City or whatever, but I'm just like Brighton. Like we can definitely take them every single time. I'm so confident. And then we just lose it, and I'm like, what?
I know.
But it's always at the same time. It's not like they get a goal in like first 10 minutes, whatever. It's like the last kick of the game.
I know.
Like, what is going on?
I mean, I think we've just got to put that to bed. It's got to happen because theoretically, even if we lose to City and we beat Brighton, and let's say that Manchester United do lose to Palace, then we will finish sixth because our goal difference is so superior to Manchester United's. So we just need 3 more points in my eyes. I think we just need to win one of those games. So for me, I can't see us beating City. If we do, I mean, it'd be amazing. But yeah, we've got to put that hoodoo to bed. Just got to. You know what I mean? It's just
it's just. I think that should be the motivation as well for the boys. Like, okay, we can get top 6, but also you need to beat this lot. Like you haven't beaten them in a little bit. So so that should definitely, hopefully, just get the boys going and going. Yeah, like, on top of like the top 6 like race or whatever, but like come on, I just want to beat them.
I know. Also, Man City game, emotional one. Mark Noble's final home game. I believe there's going to be quite a lot of things going on during the before the match and after and things like that. You expecting an emotional one?
Yeah, well, I watched his speech from the Players Awards. And I just sat on my sofa crying, and my dad was like, "Are you crying already?" And I'm like, "Do you know what? It's just because he's crying, I'm crying. Like it hasn't sunk in yet, and I don't think it will until next season when like he's actually not on the team sheet. But it's kind of like I'm so sad. He's been at the club since I was actually born. Like he was in the academy when I was born, and I think it's just really weird for me because like he's always been there. And okay. This is the starting lineup. Noble's on the bench. I'm like, right, okay, Noble's on the bench. Bit of chill. Like he's got that oomph behind him where he will get in the ref's face and be like, "That's a yellow card, mate." Whereas, like, I look at the team now and I'm kind of like, if Noble was on the pitch, Noble would be in the ref's face already. Like, come on, that's a yellow card. Like, no need for that. That's a foul, ref. Like, I think I can't remember what. I think it was the Arsenal game, and might have been, I think it was Saka pulled Bowen's shirt or something. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh no, Lanzini's shirt. And I'm sitting there going, that's a yellow card. Like, he's played advantage.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
he didn't even pull it back. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, if that was Noble on the pitch, he would be in the ref's eight. I think we're really going to miss that about Noble. But what a legend. I love the man.
Yeah, for me, the mantle's there. It's there for Rice to take. You know what I mean? He's like the perfect replacement for him. I mean, if we can, as we've touched on already, if we can get one more season out of Rice, I just think he'd fit that mould so well. It'd be like a smooth transition because he's a leader anyway, Declan, and I think he'd take a lot on what Rice and what Noble's done. You know, like even when you talk about the things that he does behind the scenes, or how he introduces the new, he beds in the new players, he makes sure they settle in well with their homes, and he does a lot outside, that we don't see. I mean, they were talking about, he cleans up the away dressing rooms and things like that. I think that we want to keep that tradition, I think it's so important as well. And I think, as you say, like, it's going to be big shoes, boots to fill. But yeah, I'm do you know what? I've always kind of been prepared for it, but now it's coming. I'm emotional about it. I think it's going to be and as you say, it's going to really hit next season when he's not around. But I still think he'll be involved in the club. He'll be doing something.
I agree. I really hope he is, and I think he's set like a great example. Like, it got released, I think it was today, that Ben Johnson actually swept up the dressing room because Noble wasn't there at Brent. I think it was Brentford away. And as Johnson was walking out of the dressing room, like, he said that Mark Noble's face just came up in his head and he was like, I need to go and sweep. So Johnson went back and swept the whole dressing room. It's kind of like that leadership role where it's like, do you know what? He might not be there, but he's set good standards for everyone. Like, even for Johnson, he's so young to turn around and be like, actually, I'm going to go and sweep it up. No one else has, but I will.
Yeah,
so it's just so lovely.
It is. So it's going to be a real loss, not having Noble around. But I think he's going to have an amazing send off, though. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think I need to bring a pack of tissues with me, but I'm so excited.
Absolutely. So also want to touch on the pre-match event we've got coming up for that game. So we're going to have Tony Carr going to be there, Anton Ferdinand, and obviously quite big figures that they're going to be at the pre-match event. What's your thoughts on Anton? I mean, since he's left the club, obviously he's a big West Ham fan, isn't he, Anton? He always seems to talk about us a fair bit. I know Rio's not so much like these days for West Ham fans, but Anton, I'm actually really looking forward to meeting him.
Anton, what a bloke he is. He goes on Twitter and he just goes on like a little rampage about like the game, if the game didn't go our way or something, and he's just like, boys, keep your head up, and everyone just loves him. He's like a massive hammer inside, and obviously his brother not so. I don't think some fans are taken to him, but Anton, he's a lovely bloke, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah,
me too. Really looking forward to it. So we've got basically tickets are available for that still. So it's going to be £30 on the door for that, or if you're a patron, £25. So we'll get a link put up for that so you can buy your tickets. I suppose the last thing, Liv, was just to move away from West Ham slightly. Was talk about the relegation battle. Now it's something. It's quite nice to watch a relegation battle and not be in it. It's quite entertaining. Do you know what I mean? Usually it's horrendous. So I know their pain they're going through, but it's been a bit. I mean, I was so certain Everton were going, then I was certain that Burnley were going, and then now I'm quite sure that Leeds are going. What do you reckon? Who do you reckon is going to go this season?
I think who's going to go is probably Leeds. As much as I don't actually want them to go and I want it to be Everton, only purely on the basis just because they have never been relegated. That's my only reason. I just think it would be funny just for them to.
Don't worry, I'll forward this on to Everton fans. Don't worry, it's fine.
No offense, I don't mind Everton. I think they're all right, but I think it's going to be Leeds. They've somehow now ended up in that mess. I thought they were all right, but clearly not. Yeah. I think they're going to be the ones to go down, and the Toffees have just got away with it.
I agree. I mean, it's still very tight. It seems to be changing. Like, because Burnley, for me, were way out of it. They were on such good form, and then they've suddenly had a really poor result at the weekend, losing 3-0, and now things have just flipped around. And as you say, Leeds, which is, I know a couple of Leeds fans, and they are absolutely gutted the position they're in. And like you, I don't really see them getting out of it. I really don't. I'm struggling to see how looking at the fixtures they've got as well. And very much like you, I was kind of really hoping to see Everton go. mainly because it's Frank Lampard as well. That would have been quite funny.
I do find it crazy how they appointed Frank Lampard, who really, as a player, never really experienced relegation battles, so he wouldn't have that. Like, I'm so surprised how they didn't get Allardyce. Like, it still confuses me. Just to be on the safe side, and then if they stayed up, employed Frank for a fresh start for the season, but it clearly. I don't know what's going on down there, but it is nice to watch. It makes a change, doesn't it? So
it does, doesn't it? I mean, it is entertaining. It's bizarre. Like when you're in it, it's a world of hell, isn't it? It's like it's exhausting being in it, and it's just so nice to finally be away from all that mess. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure one day we'll be experiencing it again, but while hopefully in a long time, because it's it is nice, isn't it? Being at the other end of the table.
Yeah, it's just nice to watch and nice to moan that we're not getting top six. It's nice to go, Carl, why aren't we getting top six? But,
I know. I can't believe that I'm actually moaning about might not be getting top six. It's ridiculous.
It's just so nice to be in the top half, actually way near the top, and just look down and go, oh, all right. And do you know what? It is exciting as well, especially when you stay up. It's a massive relief, and like you just go out and party really after the game, don't you? You're like, yes, got another season.
Maybe next season we can finish 16th. You never know. You know what I mean?
But yeah, no, it is great to just to be the spectator this time. Absolutely. And not really care.
I agree. Thank you so much for joining us.
No,
obviously, before you go, actually, I did say earlier that you're going to be doing your own show for the West Ham Way. So I've just sort of teased that for the fans. So obviously soon we'll be sort of announcing when that'll be coming out. But hopefully you'll have me on as a guest at some point.
Of course I will, anytime.
Excellent. You take care, Liv. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye. Yeah, so thank you there to Liv. It's been an interesting first show, and although obviously mainly talking about Declan, we'll see how this all pans out. And obviously we've got the games coming up this weekend. Manchester City at home. Am I confident? Not really, but the fact that we've got it's Noble's final game, I've just got this feeling, or final home game, should I say? Got this feeling that it'll be a big atmosphere, and we do tend to rise to those occasions. So let's just hope we can do something, and who knows, maybe we'll get the 3 points. As I was touched upon, we've got the pre-match event before Tony Carr, Anton Ferdinand. If you haven't got tickets, please, we've literally got a few left now. It's at tickettailor.com/events/ the West Ham Way event. And as I say, the £30 to purchase. However, if you're a Patreon member, the £25, so £5 cheaper. And the Patreon membership's only £5 a month. So it kind of makes sense to do it. And you get outstanding content, obviously, podcasts and exclusive news from ex-WHU employee and Dave Walker. Next week, I'm going to be joined by the lovely Holly Worthington. And hopefully we'll be talking about, beating Manchester City. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.